Welcome to the Power in Motion podcast, the show for women who want to develop a kinder relationship with their body so you can feel healthy, happy, and confident without restricting food, doing torturous exercise, or constantly worrying about the number on the scale. I'm your host, Kim Hagel, size-inclusive fitness specialist and certified non-diet health and life coach specializing in body image. This podcast is here to provide weight-neutral, health at every size aligned information and coaching on sustainable habits and mindset shifts so you can feel your very best in the body you have right now. Let's lace up our runners and go for a walk while we chat. Hey friend, how's it going today? Welcome to the Joyful Movement Show. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Kim Hagel, personal trainer and registered holistic nutritionist, and I'm on a mission to help women figure out what joyful movement's all about. I am fed up with toxic fitness culture telling us that we have to punish ourselves in the gym, that we gotta restrict calories, beat ourselves up in an effort to attain what we're told is the ideal body. I see how this keeps people stuck and makes fitness inaccessible and unenjoyable, and that's not what it's all about. Movement is supposed to feel good. It's supposed to be fun. And, if we're chasing a healthy lifestyle, consistency is really where it's at. And we're a lot more likely to be consistent if we're enjoying what we're doing and it feels good in our body. So that's my mission, is to help you figure out what moves you, what feels good for you, and help you to create a game that you can win and something that's sustainable. I have a really special guest on the show today. She is also a non-diet personal trainer like myself, and she learned very early on in her career as a personal trainer that the things she was recommending to her clients were just not sustainable. This working out intensely up to 2 hours a day, cutting carbs, taking supplements, meal planning and prep. It was a full-time job, but this is what we're taught as personal trainers is necessary. We're taught that chasing the thin ideal is what it's all about, and that everyone can achieve this thin ideal, this quote unquote perfect body or healthy weight with enough hard work and discipline. And then we're told, if you can just turn all these habits into a lifestyle, that's how you keep weight off for good. And it causes people to feel like when it doesn't work and the weight comes back that, well, it's our fault. We stopped those habits and we failed. That's why the diet didn't work. It's not true. It's not sustainable. And we're going to unpack all of that stuff and all the other lies that the fitness industry tells people to basically keep them coming back. I'll tell you a little bit more about Jolyn. She's a certified personal trainer, a group fitness instructor, and an intuitive eating and body image coach from Kitchener, Ontario. Jolyn is a mom of 2 and is passionate about helping other moms heal their relationship with food, body, and exercise. Shortly after starting her career in the fitness world, she started to notice the dangerous and toxic effects of chasing thinness and finding self-worth in body image. And after dismantling her own beliefs, Jolyn has now made it her life mission to help other moms change their mindset around self-worth. Jolyn guides moms to find peace with food, discover the joy of movement, and ultimately live in a way their children could respect and follow. This is a really great conversation, folks. There's so many golden nuggets in here. I know you're going to love it. So I'm just going to stop talking and turn the show over to my lovely friend, Jolyn. Well, Miss Jolyn Martin, I am so honored and so excited to welcome you to the Joyful Movement Show. We are going to have a great chat all about non-diet fitness and how you transitioned your business to non-diet personal training for moms specifically. So I can't wait to dive in and get into all of this with you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Such an honor to be on your show, Kim.
Oh, thank you. Well, why don't you, before we talk about who you are and what you do, a big question that I like to ask all my guests when they come on the show is, what does joyful movement mean to you? Or how did you begin to discover joyful movement for yourself?
So I really discovered joyful movement shortly after meeting my husband, and that was because we started going rock climbing together at a local climbing gym here.
Fun.
And just that excitement of trying something new became like almost an addiction because it was like, oh, I can do that. What can I do next? And it was just this thrill of learning how to challenge myself. It wasn't about weight loss anymore. It was about just the joy of challenging myself, the community that we built at the climbing gym, and just feeling really successful at what I was doing. So that's really where it started, was at the climbing gym.
I love that, especially how you said feeling successful, because I love to
Mm.
talk about the four things that are motivating to people. And that is one of the big motivating factors, as we know, as trainers,
Mhm.
right? Like when we feel successful and like we're good at something and we like it, it's fun, so much
Yeah.
more
Oh,
like
yeah. Fun is a huge
motivated.
part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about the work that you do and how it is that you transitioned your business to being a non-diet personal trainer.
Yeah, sure. I guess to begin, it wasn't until after I had my children that I really noticed the difference in how I approached movement.
Mm,
So previously, I think it started more in high school. I remember hearing a gym teacher say, I work out so much because I like my food. And it wasn't that wasn't the only situation where I heard that kind of talk. It was really
yeah.
my upbringing. Um, and I kind of for during that time always heard that exercise was about losing weight,
Mhm.
or toning up, or strength, getting those six-pack abs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But after I had kids, I really learned that there's so much more to moving your body. I decided to join a gym, and it wasn't with the intention of losing weight or anything. It was just I needed some me time. I
Mhm.
needed to have some space. And so I found, with the combination of moving my body, that challenge um, again, it was the supportive community around me that they started to see. I actually had one of the trainers come to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in becoming a trainer?" Because I was already, assisting the ladies, kind of adopting that role of helping them with their form and using equipment and stuff. So it was sort of a natural transition from just enjoying being being in that atmosphere,
Mhm.
and then taking on that role and kind of starting a new career in that sense. But then there was one day where I was listening to a podcast by Christy Harrison, actually. It was about fat phobia and discrimination within the medical industry. And that kind of rocked my world. And suddenly I was questioning everything. It was, as we say, like that cognitive dissonance where I was like, this can't be true. This can't be real. And so I started to really observe the atmosphere at the gym that I was working at, and seeing how there was so much fat phobia in
Mm,
at my gym. And it wasn't just about my gym, it was about the fitness industry as a whole.
mhm.
So there was all these subtle messages. I even asked someone one time, I said, do you believe it's wrong to be fat? Do you think it's bad to be fat? And she was like, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was just, I walked away from that conversation being like, oh my goodness, I
Yeah.
I guess I've been believing this my whole life too. Um, Even during my studies of becoming a certified personal trainer, we learned formulas on how to guarantee someone would lose weight.
Mhm.
It's the mindset that we are trained with, where anyone can look like me as a personal trainer if they just try hard enough. Because, as personal trainers, we all have to look a certain way. That's the other messaging, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Thin equals successful. My body is my business card. So, I better invest in my appearance. That was the messaging my trainer, like my pro trainer, literally said to us.
Yeah.
That, I think she said something along the lines of, you can't trust a fat personal trainer. So,
Wow.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, anyway, a lot of this messaging started to come out, and I was super uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I felt alone for sure. I felt like I didn't belong there anymore because I was having all this tension.
Mm-hmm.
Um, with another one, that kind of mindset that we had at the gym, thin equals disciplined and praiseworthy.
Mm.
Anyone can lose weight and keep it off if they are disciplined.
Yeah.
Um, which is just crazy because I think this is one, I'm just going to share about one messaging that I think is of utmost importance is
Mm-hmm.
as a thin privileged person,
Mm-hmm.
I believed for most of my life that anyone could look like me if they tried hard enough.
Yeah.
But the crazy part is I had fat friends. I'm putting that in quotes because I don't know what people's comfort level are with descriptive words.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I swear they ate less than me.
Yeah.
And I swear that they were working out and doing like more what we would consider like, weight loss activities. And their bodies didn't change much. And I think it's crazy because we all know that deep down, but we still have this belief
Mm-hmm.
that people could change their bodies permanently, and um, and it's just not truth.
No. No, I want to, yeah, so many good points that you just brought up there. I want to unpack a little bit. I know
Mm-hmm.
we've had this conversation between the two of us a couple of times about body diversity and this belief amongst the fitness industry that thinness is accessible to everyone if they just work hard enough. But,
Yeah.
when we started unpacking this in our private conversation, we realized like you have a naturally thin body. You are quite
Yes.
small and quite slim, and you don't have to work hard for that body. And
No,
as you just
exactly.
said, some of your fat friends or those in larger bodies seem to work a whole lot harder than you and can't achieve that same ideal. So did that did that prompt you? Well, I know it prompted some cognitive dissonance in you, but did you go to the data and look at this? Because I remember having these same insights myself when I started just uh, questioning everything I was taught as a personal trainer, which is that
Mm-hmm.
thin is better, thin is healthier. Everybody can have that. And it is possible to have it and keep it off forever. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not true. Like the data is
Mm-hmm.
very clear that that's not possible. 95% of people who lose weight through any sort of intentional weight loss tactic can't keep it off. So sustainable weight loss is not possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I still see that messaging out everywhere.
oh, everywhere.
I actually made a post recently about, beware of the advertisements that say struggling to lose weight. This is your answer, or this is the program
Yeah.
for you, because what they're not factoring in is genetics, or
Mhm.
DNA that which we can't change, obviously, our environment, our lifestyle, privilege, so what we have
Mhm.
access to, psychological, so like even trauma or our relationships with food, whether disordered or like if we have an eating disorder, like there's so
Mhm.
many factors into why our bodies are the way they are. That it's just a big fat lie that
Mhm.
anybody can have the same body size, but yet in this fitness industry it's preached like it's possible.
Yeah.
And so I have compassion on trainers now because that's what we've been taught in our training.
Mhm.
So no wonder we teach it.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank goodness that more and more of us are waking up to it. But I also resonated with how you the quote your pro trainer said to you about you should never trust a fat personal trainer. And I don't think I'd ever
Mm,
heard it said that way to me, but I certainly internalized that type of messaging. And I've spoken on here a few times about how I left the fitness industry for a couple of years due to weight gain
mm,
and that whole thing, like my body is my business card and I'm not representing the industry well, I have to leave. And oh man, when I think about that, like that's so damaging to one trainers who are feeling all this pressure to have to be perfect, but also to those who want to engage in movement and it feels inaccessible because that's the standard and that's what you must look like. And if you
yes,
can't get that,
absolutely.
then this is not the place for you. You're not welcome here. So you've made this whole shift in your business. And I know like the old Joe used to do fitness challenges. Talk to me
Hmm.
about what your fitness challenges used to look like.
They were actually more about weight loss than they were about
Mm.
fitness.
Yeah.
And they were challenging yourself with, working out 5 days a week, staying on this specific meal plan where you had to be so disciplined 100% of the time. There was that perfectionistic aspect, which is just impossible. But at the end of the challenges, there would be the messaging. Now if you continue to make this a lifestyle, then you will stay this way. And that's just not true.
Yeah.
I really noticed, like, especially through these challenges, the ladies that would go through them, it was so much less about health and
Mm.
so much more about being thin. Rather than eating, um, food that's nourishing for your body and from the earth, it was like, well, I'd rather eat this a processed weight loss bar and an energy drink because that will rev up my metabolism and then I'll lose weight faster.
Yeah.
I even remember when I was on one of the weight loss plans, I had said to my coach, "Oh, I'm just gonna have a smoothie. I'm gonna have a smoothie every morning." And she said, "Oh, but will the smoothie have fruit in it?" And I was like, "Yeah, like banana and berries." She's like, "Well, why don't we try taking the fruit out and adding some supplements and some powders, and that way it's less calorie and higher protein."
Ugh, I just made a
Yeah.
gaggy face as you said that.
Oh my goodness. But you know what? Like what I learned in the end was people, like the ladies in the program, were afraid of eating food. They were
Yeah.
replacing food so much with supplements. And you know, everyone most of the time had like a before and after picture. And if you were that after picture, you were so afraid of
Mm.
becoming the before picture again
Hmm.
because of the praise that you would get
Hmm.
from that after picture. You felt like you were part of a whole new community,
Hmm.
and you would try everything. Even a lady said to me one time, "I don't know how to eat carbs anymore. I'm too afraid of being that girl again." So there's so much shame and guilt
So
and just
much.
restrictive living that
Hmm.
you really
Hmm.
can't live a full life if you're constantly thinking about your weight, because
No.
it's all excuse me, it's all consuming.
Yeah. And there is so much fear about it too. And like you say, we're told, well, if you just make this a lifestyle, you can have this body forever. And I think that's why people think that it is possible to sustain weight loss because they just assume that it's because we gave up or we failed that we weren't able to maintain our weight loss. But what you're
Mhm.
talking about sustaining, and I know because I've lived it, like what you're talking about was my past life too. What you're talking about sustaining is severe restriction, like never having fruit again, dumping a bunch of powder into your smoothie,
Mm.
like living on chicken and asparagus. And like, I,
Yep.
I mean, I did a fitness photo shoot myself back in the day. And I think I talked about it on the podcast. I had to eat nothing but celery and tuna. And I even like didn't drink water the day before the photo shoot to make sure that I looked thin enough and cut enough, right? Like that is not a lifestyle. It's disordered
No,
eating,
exactly. And
right?
so much of the messaging is if you're thin, you'll be happy. All your
Yeah.
problems will go away if you lose weight. You'll go on that vacation or you'll do that sport if you lose some weight first.
Mhm.
Saying that is, do you think every thin person is happy? No.
I know they're not.
Yeah.
Been there, done that. It's not, that's not the answer. No,
So
but this is what we're sold, right? And then when it
exactly.
doesn't work for us, when we don't find happiness in our thin body, we think we're a complete and total failure.
Exactly.
It's it's so wrong.
Yeah. So I am thankful to be on the other side where I can see clearly now, the rain has gone.
Yeah, I'm sure your clients are thankful too that you've made the transition to non-diet personal trainer.
Mhm.
So, let's talk more then about this evolution of your business. So you started to see the problems in the fitness industry, and I
Mhm.
know that you work primarily with moms. So why specifically did you choose that niche?
Yeah, so I speak mostly to moms because I can relate.
Hmm.
I know what it's like to feel like you lose your identity after you have your babies. with that your body is changing, things aren't the same. I know the pressure of having to feed your kids, and previously myself having somewhat of a disordered relationship with food where I would barely eat all day, and suddenly it was like, oh, I actually need to feed my children breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks. And then, but you feel all this pressure because, all this pressure on being a mom in this first world country is the quality of food is reflected on your parenting style, and the list goes on and on. So I understand. I'm a mom. I know what it's like. So I have a very special place in my heart for moms, having lost mine less than a year ago, and just seeing how much body image was interwoven into my mom's identity and her self-worth. And I just want all moms to feel confident and good in their bodies, and have that positive relationship with food and movement. Because really, we want all our bodies or all our children to be body confident, and have a good relationship with food. And I believe the best way for them to have that is to see that behavior in front of them.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And there is so much pressure on moms, as you said, like just we could go on and on about all that too. But I know one of the big pressures is not only do you have to be a quote good mom and do everything right by your kids, but you also have to be perfect yourself, eating
Yeah.
all the good foods, doing all the exercise, and also having the thin body. So, and I see that in the industry, right? So
Getting
how
that
do
baby
you
body back, or post baby body back.
lose your baby body and all that nonsense. So, and we hear those types of messages in the fitness industry all the time. So talk to me about how your messaging is different and how your classes look different now than they did before you adopted the non-diet approach.
Yeah, totally. I don't talk about appearance goals anymore. I
Nice.
mean, I've been doing virtual classes now for I think 18 months, so not too long. But the language I was using even 18 months ago to today has drastically changed. Um, I would take clients previously for weight loss or because they wanted to grow their booty, so all those kind of things.
Yeah.
But now it's all about how do my clients and my crew want to feel. I avoid using language that might trigger someone to want to lose weight. I do preach, Lindo Bacon's health at every size, and how dieting actually does more harm than good. So the other difference is I really encourage breaks. So before I might have been more like push it, push it, push
Yeah.
it. We got 10 seconds left, but now it's more like, that it can be a challenge, but it's like take a break if you need to. Listen to your body. You are the expert of your body.
Yeah.
During this transition, it was interesting because I had a client who kind of walked through the transition with me. So she gave me permission to say her name, so Laura.
Sure. Okay.
And when she started training with me, it was for weight loss. And so we did all the traditional weight loss kind of preparation steps, in our onboarding session. Of course, we weighed her. There was measurements, there was the fitness test, all that stuff. And a couple of weeks into her program was when during that, I was already I had that cognitive dissonance, and I was like, I don't know if I want to be taking on a weight loss client right now while I'm transitioning and I'm trying to figure this all out. But we did anyway, and within a couple of weeks, I was already set. I had to have a sit down with her and say, I can't do this anymore. All the research shows that weight loss attempts are ineffective and unsustainable long term. I'm sorry, but we either have to end our relationship here, or you can join me on this journey. As because right now I'm deconstructing all my beliefs about dieting in the fitness world. And I was really nervous about that conversation, but she thankfully was really excited and decided to join me on that journey. And she's still a client with me today and is part of my virtual community, which is so fun. But now we're actually we do one session strength training, and one session we talk about kind of diet culture, and we talk about body image and intuitive eating and stuff like that. So it's kind of a neat way that our relationship has progressed.
Yeah.
as a client. Yeah.
For sure. I love how you gave her the option of staying with you or ending the relationship and putting the power in her hands, and amazing that she chose to embark on this journey alongside you. What would you say has been the biggest shift in her? Like, tell us some of the results you've seen in her, because you're not measuring the results you thought you would when you started the relationship. So, what does
Mhm.
success look like with Laura?
Yeah, so I think right now we've been dissecting kind of what exercise and movement means for her. And so much of it had been about weight loss, as most people. And now it's discovering, what do I really enjoy?
Mm,
And she's starting to figure out what things bring her joy. And she's really enjoying the challenges. So we've been working on doing a push-up, which is so funny. It's just like small little things, but
yeah.
it brings so much empowerment. And they're not related to trying to change her body anymore. They're just, this is how I feel good and I feel successful, and just this is the stuff I enjoy doing. So it's really been about, how do you want to feel today? How do you want to feel about your body?
Mhm.
And that's the kind of, it's really about taking that band-aid off and working through the deeper layers.
Mhm. Yep,
Yeah.
there's always a desire behind the desire to lose weight. There's a greater
Hmm.
desire there. What would you say, if you had to guess, what would have been Laura's deeper desire? What was she really seeking when she asked for weight loss?
I think acceptance.
Mm, from others or herself?
Probably both.
Okay. And are you
Probably both.
starting to see her find that self-acceptance within as you're
Hmm.
doing this work?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's something we've been working on for sure.
That's so amazing. And like you say,
Yeah.
you mentioned push up and it just being a small thing, but it's not a small thing.
Yeah,
Push-ups
you're
are a
right.
big deal,
You're right.
right? They're a big deal. And when we reframe our thoughts, as opposed like push-ups being these torturous things we have to do to try to burn calories or lose weight or tone our
Hmm.
arms or whatever ridiculous objective we're putting behind the push-up, when we can like release that and see the push-up for being the amazing exercise that it, like, it's challenging, it's tough, and when you can
Hmm.
do them, how powerful do you feel? Like, it's a
Right.
true benchmark, a measure of strength, right? Like, you
Yes, yes, you're
feel
right.
strong. But we can
Yeah,
lose the trees for the forest when all we're focused on is toning up and losing weight, right?
exactly. And that stuff's always so anti-motivating,
Mhm.
because you're just like, you feel the pressure from, outside sources, instead of that inner desire of just wanting to feel empowered and feel that strength, right?
Yeah.
If you're, like you said, if you're only thinking about toning up and getting those muscles showing,
Yeah.
that's just, it's anti-motivating.
Well, sure, you're gonna really resent push-ups because, I mean, they're not fun when we're looking at them that way. But when we're looking at them
Exactly.
as like a challenging movement, that's a true measure of strength. And when you finally get your first full push-up, it's like, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're so true.
So great. Okay, so a lot of moms feel really overwhelmed, as we said, that with all the pressure and the, like, with food and exercise expectations and just being a good mom, all the pressures. What do you think is most important for moms who feel this way to hear?
Hmm. Excuse me. I would say I want moms to know that there is another way.
Mm,
You do not have to focus on, losing the mom belly to be confident. We're told that all the time. If I could, or I hear this all the time, if I
mhm.
would just lose this belly, I would be so happy, or I'd be so confident.
Yeah.
And there is another way. You do not have to feed your kids XYZ to be competent eaters. There
Mhm.
is another way. You don't have to hate exercise. I hope that if anyone who watches or listens to Kim's podcast will know by now that you don't have to hate exercise. You can move your body in a way that you enjoy, even while being home with your children. Um, yeah, I just hope all moms listening can know that there is another way, and it leads to a more fulfilled and joyful, successful life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, there's always another way. And the way to confidence and self-acceptance isn't through punishing ourselves and shrinking ourselves.
Exactly.
What do you
It's
think is that missing link? Where do we find that confidence and self-acceptance?
you know, for a long time, I thought confidence came from, as a personal trainer, I thought it came from uh, experience. So the more experience I had, the more confident I'll be.
Mm,
Or I thought it would come from, let's fake it or let's fake
mm,
it so till we make it kind of thing.
yeah.
But I've learned that confidence is what we tell ourselves. It's the
Mm,
messaging that we have in our brain, the thoughts we have
yeah.
create that emotion of confidence. So really it's about creating and crafting that thought pattern that we can hold on to. That's what confidence is.
Yeah. Yeah. And that thought pattern being, I'm good enough.
Yes.
I can,
Yeah.
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 I
I,
can do this.
yeah. I have value
Hmm.
outside of my appearance or regardless
Absolutely.
of my appearance. I have value no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such wise words. I always love talking to you.
I love talking to you too.
Do you have any other parting words for our listeners before we sign off for today? Words of wisdom?
Any words of wisdom? um, I don't know. Yeah, it's really a tricky thing being surrounded by messaging in the fitness and the diet industry. I guess I want you to know it's not. We're not trying to shame you
Mhm.
for wanting to lose weight
Mm, mhm,
or wanting to tone up. It's not to shame you. It's kind of to say you're very normal
mhm.
because that's the messaging that we're told, that we're taught. It's you're Most people have to go through that kind of cognitive dissonance that I talked about, where I was like, huh? There's another way, that pre-contemplation, or I guess that would be the contemplation
Yeah.
stage of
Yeah.
of I did not think that that wasn't normal. I didn't think that that wasn't natural. So take it easy on yourself. Take time. This is heavy stuff.
Mhm.
This is really heavy, and it's hard work, but it's the most life-changing work you'll ever do.
That's for darn sure. Yeah. There's
Hmm.
so much freedom on the other side of all that hard
Oh
work.
yes. Oh my gosh. And I'll, just knowing that you'll never go back. My husband the other day said, "You've tried a lot of diets in your life. Do you think you'll ever?" Because now I would consider myself an intuitive eater. Do you think that you'll ever change your diet again? And I'm like, what? I'm like, are you kidding me? This isn't a diet. This is a lifestyle. Like this is going back to our roots of how we are
Yeah.
like naturally supposed to eat. This is normal human being eating. This isn't a diet.
It's so
So
funny.
it's just like, yeah, no, you don't ever have to look back anymore once you're on the
Yeah.
other side.
Yeah. It's so funny to hear that from the man who's been beside you as you've tried all these different things. Like it would be
Yes.
natural to assume this is just another thing you're trying, but no, like this is how human beings were designed to eat in the first place, and there's no need to ever try another thing ever again because it's
Exactly.
just listening to your intuition. Oh man, what a great conversation we have had. You are so wise, and I love everything that you're up to in your business and the way that you support moms to find that confidence inside themselves and that joy for movement. So awesome, Jolyn.
Thank you
So
so much.
before we sign off, can you tell our listeners where they can connect with you? Because I'm pretty sure they're going to want to stay in touch.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I do kind of three things. I am a personal trainer, so one-on-one training. I do virtual group classes. My team is called Coach Joe and the Crew. And I also have a program called Nourished Moms, Healthy Kids. And that's where we kind of address the mindset behind our relationship with body, food, and exercise,
Mm.
or movement, depending on what word you kind of use. Um, and you can find all that information on my website, which is www.jolynmartin.ca. So JOLYN and Martin. So I think that'll be in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
And then on there as well, I have a free quiz you can try, which is called "What Type of Exerciser Are You?"
It's so cool. I took the quiz. It's really neat.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so I encourage everybody to hop on over there and check that out. Well, thank you, Jolyn, so much for appearing on the show and sharing all your wisdom with my listeners. I know that they will find this episode really inspiring and helpful, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share your knowledge with us today.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Okay, friend. Well, I really hope that you enjoyed that episode and that it's given you some food for thought about the messaging that you've maybe heard for years and years from the fitness industry. And maybe this has got you thinking that there could be another way. And what might that look like for you? How might you want your relationship with food and movement and your body to be? And if you're wanting to follow up with Jolyn, I have linked all of her stuff in the show notes. I encourage you to go on over to her website and take that free quiz and follow her on all her social channels. And we forgot to mention in the episode that Jolyn has recently started a podcast of her own. So the link to her show is in the show notes as well. And I encourage you to go on over there and give a listen. She talks specifically about non-diet fitness for moms, and she's got so much knowledge to share. So I'll be back here with you next Monday for another dose of non-diet inspiration. And in the meantime, if you want to stay connected, I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Radiant Vitality Wellness, and I welcome your DMs and comments. I love to engage with my listeners. And if you're interested in learning how to work with me, you can find that information on my website, which is www.radiantvitality.ca. Thank you so much for being here today from both Jolyn and I. We value each and every one of you. And thank you so much for being part of this community of people that are wanting to change the narrative about fitness and food and body image. Be well, my friend, and here's to your radiant vitality. Thanks for tuning into the Power in Motion podcast today. If you love what you're learning here, then I invite you to take the next step of embodying these concepts into your own life so that you can live your healthiest, happiest life and never again feel held back by your body. Coaching is the fastest, most efficient pathway to taking what you know in your head to actually applying it and seeing results. Whether you're looking to make changes around movement, food, body image, or all three, I'm here to help you nurture a kind, respectful, and trusting relationship with your body so you can feel your very best. Click the link in the show notes to book a free consultation, and together we'll uncover what's getting in the way of you having the results you want. You'll leave this call knowing exactly what you need to work on, and together we'll explore whether one of my coaching offers is a good fit for you. I can't wait to meet you.